You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the I Love It When podcast. My name is Margaret Smith. I go by Mo. I am your host, and today I'm your only guest. I have to tell you guys, it's really strange and yet not strange, the synchronicity of it. The last time I did a recap for the Unplug From Fear Retreat that happened in September, when I did the podcast recap, I had barely slept the night before, and that is the same case today. I don't know what the deal is. It might be something about tapping back into the energy of the retreat, because I wrote out all my notes that I wanted to talk about today just last night. But I kid you not, I went to bed. I was in bed by like 10, couldn't fall asleep, 11, 12, 1, barely fell asleep, was so lightly asleep that I was waking up between every dream, whenever I had to move. I ended up getting up at like 7:30, but I just like I'm so tired. There's like very little I can do today. So it's interesting. I've already recorded another podcast with someone else, thankfully, and then I'm just doing this. And so there's not too much else I have to do. But some part of me thinks that the reason this happens is so that I also don't overthink and that I just share. Um, One of the attendees who came to this retreat a few weeks ago specifically said that it was because of the recap I did last time that she came, that she went ahead and bought her ticket and came. So I know that it's important to share. But man, between tapping into the energy of this retreat again and and then I think spirit putting me in a place where I can't do anything but just share from the heart and not overthink it. It's an interesting place to be. Okay. So, kind of like last time, what I'm going to do today is just go through each of the days of the retreat, share a bit about what happened, and I'm going to share a couple of the testimonials that a few of the attendees gave me to share, and answer a couple of questions I got from Instagram. Yeah, and we'll see what else comes up, what else comes out of my mouth. Uh, I'm just happy you're here. I'm happy you're joining me. If you are, please leave a comment down below. I don't usually say that, but honestly, I don't even like saying honestly, but truly, I really appreciate your comments and I read every single one of them. And I think oftentimes I hear from people who are like, oh, I don't leave a comment because I don't think it really is going to matter. Oh my gosh, it matters. Okay. Everything you say matters. And I like hearing from people, hearing what came up for you from listening to this. If you got any messages while listening to this, if you have any follow-up questions or just want to say hi. So if you're on YouTube, please say hi down below. If you're on any of the social media platforms, please say hello to me. I love it so much. I love to know who's listening. And thank you all for being loyal listeners of the I Love It When podcast. Now I've been going on for about 3.5 years, and I get updates every week from Buzzsprout about how many downloads I have. And uh, yeah, I just really love connecting with people outside of the recording. So thank you for being here. So I'll go through the agenda. Each retreat is different, and a lot of that is due to the energy that the attendees bring. And so the universe always has plans, right? And oftentimes I don't know what those plans are until they are happening. And it was much the same with this. I truly thought after the retreat in September that this retreat that happened here in February, we're now in March, it was February 27th through March 1st. I really thought this retreat was going to sell out like that, because that was the energy that I got after the September retreat. It doesn't usually happen like this. It was the day after where I felt like, okay, this is supposed to happen again, and it's supposed to happen soon. I've never done a retreat within 5 months of another one. And I just felt with every part of my body, every part of my being, that this was supposed to happen. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And so I had 5 people attend, which was fantastic. Every single one of those people was supposed to be there. And I know that that was there was a lot of intention and energy behind this. Um, I still don't fully know why there was just 5 people, but I think each of the people who came really deserved and needed this kind of a retreat. So when you have a smaller number of people, as you can imagine, Sometimes it's easier to be vulnerable in a space like that when there's not too many competing energies or a lot of people in the room. As I mentioned in the first podcast that I did about the retreat back in September, I've been hosting and facilitating retreats since 2017. And I've had anywhere from 8 people to 40 people. When I was first doing these retreats, they were for operations staff in the real estate industry. And so I had usually somewhere between 25 and 40 people. And I look back now and I'm like, I don't know how I did that. I mean, I know I did it and I know how I did it, but as a lot of energy to manage. Now I typically have around 10 to 15. That's my ideal number. And I really, really like that number because we can go a bit deeper. And again, this is a very short amount of time in which to get comfortable and share because the energy that each person brings to this experience is what helps to make it what it is. And the more comfortable that I can help people feel, the more likely they are to share. And it isn't, without the sharing, these retreats would not be what they are. Sharing is so incredibly important. And I realize that I cannot create a perfectly safe space. It's impossible, right? There's never going to be complete safety, right? There just isn't. But I control what I can control, which is who I bring in to speak, the location, the timing of it, the snacks, the level of comfort with the furniture. I do as much as I can to create an environment where people feel like they can truly relax, trust me, trust each other, and open up. So, the ripple effect from this retreat, I know, will continue to happen for the weeks, months, years, sometimes afterwards. And so, the more time that goes by, the more and better understanding I sometimes receive around why it happened the way that it did. For whatever reason, I'm grateful for it. I needed it. I know that each of the people who came needed it. And I was just starting to get better I was sick for about a week straight. And then I had that week of the retreat where I was finally feeling better. And I was like, okay, I think this is going to happen. And so, the timing of it was just as it was supposed to be. So I want to start off by actually sharing one of the attendees' testimonials right off the bat. Her name is Paula Grimes. And Paula and I met, Paula's in Denver, Colorado. We met probably 12 plus years ago in the real estate world. And I was so excited when Paula signed up, and I was shocked because for someone to continue to follow me and just for us to stay in connection for that long, and it doesn't always happen. And so I was really excited to spend time with Paula, get to know her a bit more, and then have her experience this retreat. And so I want to pause here and share her testimonial before I share anything else. Here we go.
This is my video testimonial for the Unplug From Fear Retreat. And I apologize. I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm a little hoarse. So as I have this scratchy voice, please try and ignore it. First of all, as I walked into this retreat, for me, it was about learning. I really didn't feel like I was going in there with any fear that I had to overcome. I just wanted to learn. I wanted to be in an environment where I could have takeaways from. I'm a business coach. I work with people all day. And it was not only about learning about myself, and it was also learning about how I could further help my clients. So I walked into the space of what can I learn from this? And to start with, Mo creates this incredible safe space. It feels welcoming. Um, it's a place where you can feel vulnerable and you can share because she doesn't force you to share. She leaves it open for everybody to share. So she creates a space in such a way that I never hesitated to feel safe in it and to be able to share in it. So let me talk about what I got for my first day. So inmate came in my first day, and what she did for me was validate for me my belief system that I've had pretty much my whole entire life, that because I've had nobody in my life to validate it, to say, yes, what you think is true, I always question myself. And so what she did for me was really validate for me that all these thoughts I've had for all these years were true. That was phenomenal. That's so what I needed in that space. The next day when Kai came in, she made me realize that I do have fear. Because what she brought to my attention is that I don't trust myself. And I was so ready to argue with her because I truly felt I do trust myself. I'm a confident person. I can step into spaces, right? And I can feel comfortable in those spaces. And then it caused me to step back for a minute and think about it. And she was right. I always question myself. I question myself constantly. And something that Inmate had brought up the day before was that I always have to prove something is right, which is kind of why I needed her validation. Um, but it reinforced to me how much I question things and how much I don't trust myself sometimes when I don't have the proof that I need that something is right or true. Um, and there's a lot of things in life that we don't have that proof. We don't have that validation. We have to trust. And so I realized in not trusting myself, I was living in fear. I was always in fear of what if I'm wrong? Should I listen to this? Should I not listen to this? It was more of a questioning than a fear. Um, and we went through that day, I had that realization. And as we got towards the end of the day and she did energy work with me, I want to cry right now just thinking about it. I have been weighed down my whole life with responsibility. It's my mother died at a very young age, and I immediately took on the responsibility of my siblings. Now, externally, I don't know if people saw that, but internally, I took on that responsibility. I was their protector. I was there to make sure they were being taken care of. I didn't have the ability to take care of them, but I had the ability to make sure they were being taken care of. So I would speak up when they weren't. But I took on that responsibility from a very young age. And then with a lot of the decisions I made as I got older, I actually put myself in positions where I had to take on more responsibility. And so I got married very young, I had kids very young. And so I just kept layering on this responsibility. And I'm to a point in my life where I don't need to hold on to that anymore. And I didn't even realize I was holding on to it. And she helped me release that, which was amazing. Um, I I still am not quite sure how she discovered this is what it was. I don't know that she did. I told her in some way, I guess. I didn't even know it was a thing with me, but it was a huge thing with me. And it was a huge thing that I think was holding me back that I didn't even realize was holding me back. So, second day was phenomenal. I was exhausted by the end of the day, but it was a really, really good exhaustion. Phenomenal day. And third day, we did some pendulum work with Mo, which I've done pendulum work before, but it was on a whole new level. And the activity she brought us through was phenomenal. And it's something that I have taken back that I can use every day. And it goes along with what a lot of the other skills I've already learned along the way. So it really complemented what I already know. So it was a great way to just tie up the whole weekend. And then we all went out and had dinner together. So really, really great connection with everybody was there. Everybody brought something different into the room. I believe that we were all there for each other. Mo was a participant along with us, which I think also helped create that safe space. And I would go back in a second. And so far, everybody I've told about it are like excited to go. So I definitely think it is something worth attending, worth spending the money on. I had to travel in. I'm in Colorado, so I had to travel in to go to it. So not only did I have the price of the going, but I also had all the travel and the place to stay expense with it, and it was worth every single penny. So I strongly, strongly recommend going. It will absolutely change your life in some way.
Thank you so much, Paula, for sharing your words and feelings and emotions about this retreat. I'm so grateful that you came. So, one of the things that Paula talked about in her testimonial was validation and learning that the messages that she receives daily are real. And I so resonated with that. She shared that when she was at the retreat, and that has been one of the biggest lessons for me over the years is recognizing that I've always been receiving messages. I was just constantly discounting them. And so once you start to realize that these are real and they actually have meaning and you start to follow them, take them as direction, oh my gosh, game changer. So I loved that Paula received this confirmation. So let's start off with Friday. Okay, Friday, the 27th, we got started. And as I mentioned, I had 5 attendees. And then I had also invited my friend Badra to stay with us for the day on Friday. Badra has been the person who has helped me get into the LifeWave patches. And she's also just a fabulous educator. She used to be a teacher. And so I often will ask her to speak on LifeWave because she's been in it and using the patches now for 5 years. And so I wanted her to come and give everybody a patch to try and also talk a little bit about the science behind LifeWave and how it works. And then I just felt called to ask her to stay for the day because she has been, without Badra, I wouldn't be selling the patches. I mean, I would still probably be, absolutely be wearing them, but I didn't think I was going to be selling them. And so she's really helped me understand that piece of it and just basically given me what I needed to receive to get started, which is just information about LifeWave, basically to be able to share it with people. And so felt really good to have Badr there for the day. Uh, let's see, this retreat, I spoke more than I have at any other retreat. Uh, I got us started on Friday for that first half of the day with the preparation of the container for the retreat. I also spoke on Saturday morning and then all of Sunday. And that's really important for me to note because oftentimes I pack the schedule so full of other speakers and other activities that I don't normally speak except for between speakers and maybe at the beginning and at the end. And so this is really a change of pace for me. And it was a good reminder to me that everyone gets something from what I say. Just like I receive something from whatever you might say, everybody is supposed to speak, including you listening. And so it was just a good reminder to me that there's a reason I do these retreats. And it's not just to have the speakers come in, but it's also for myself to speak more. Because a lot of the things that I've learned over the years, again, I discount them. And sometimes it's exactly what somebody needs to hear. So we got settled on Friday, and a part of my formula, essentially, I consider it a formula now for retreats, is to set the tone and set the environment. I kind of have this formula of assess, help you assess where you're at, have a bunch of learning new techniques, skills, or learning new things about yourself, and then you create an implementation plan before you leave, which might just be one action step, but it's really important. And so in the morning on Friday, I did some activities with the group to help us assess where we currently are in life, how we're feeling about where we are. Are we happy? Are we feeling fulfilled? We did some sharing to get the sharing going. And then also, I did some exercises to help set the ground rules for the weekend, which is also really important to me. Because again, a big piece of people feeling safe enough to be vulnerable is making sure that we're all clear on boundaries and that what gets said within the retreat doesn't leave the room, essentially. So we did those exercises, which helps us kind of figure out what it is that we want to ask Enmei, Kai, and Crystal about, right? Because if people haven't slowed down enough to think about things that they're going through in life, which oftentimes people have not, which is totally, I mean, it happens, and so they show up at the retreat, and I want to give people a minute to pause and really think about their life because it's just, we don't do it enough. In general, the general public does not stop that pace of go, 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 go to stop and think, hey, am I happy? Is there something I could be doing differently? It can either be really hard to slow down or you're doing everything you can in your power to ignore it. And so I find that this part is really key. It also just gives you that guidance on, hey, what do I want to ask Enmei more about? What do I want to ask Kai and Crystal about? What do I want to ask Margaret about to make the most use of this weekend? So now I want to pause for a minute and share with you another testimonial from a woman named Tiffany who came. My name is Tiffany. I work in finance and I live in Snohomish County, Washington. I learned about the retreat through a trusted friend who said it was the best retreat she had ever been to. I came to the retreat thinking I was going to learn new skills and that I could use these skills professionally. I learned that and so much more. I was exposed to amazing, talented mentors who were able to help identify things that have been holding me back from living a full life. It blew me away, and I will never be the same. I know so much more about myself, energy, and how to wrap back in when I get lost in the daily tasks of living life. It has only been a week since the retreat, and I have been able to take action that is more in line with the life I want to live. I'm looking forward to taking more steps, and I'm so grateful to have the group I met in the retreat as support. Thank you, Tiffany. I love Tiffany's testimonial so much because it's real. It's so real. And it's also not unusual. Uh, a lot of times, I'm going to say like almost every single time I've hosted a retreat, and I've now hosted over 10 retreats and I've served over 200 people. I always have someone at the retreat who says to me, "This is not what I expected it to be." And it's just not unusual because oftentimes we don't know what an experience is going to bring us, right? There's only so much that I can translate through marketing and sharing on my website. It's one thing to look at it, it's another thing to experience it, right? And so Tiffany was brave, she was real, she was authentic, and she was truly open and curious with every topic that we went through. And so I'm grateful for her presence at the retreat. So during lunch on Friday, we had Badra speak a bit and share about LifeWave, which is always one of my favorite parts now. I've been selling LifeWave since October, and Badra, as I mentioned, has been doing this for 5+ years, and she's a wealth of information. So she put a patch on everyone who wasn't already wearing a patch, which now Amy and Chan, who were also at the retreat, and Enmei have all worn, like Amy and Chan wear patches every day. And so they had already tried it, but Paula and Tiffany and Trish were able to put one on and see what it was like. And I love this because it's the same reaction every time. People are always like, "Whoa, what is this? What is going on right now? What am I feeling? Why did that pain go away?" Uh, and this is why I love LifeWave, and this is why I'm selling it because there's never been another multi-level marketing company that I've ever had even the smallest desire to try and work with. And to me, I'm still not even thinking about the fact that I'm selling LifeWave. I'm just sharing it because it is truly what I believe the future of medicine is. Frequency. It's all about frequency. And so these non-medicated patches, the fact that you can wear these all day long, day in, day out, and you can be helping your body to heal itself is something I will always get behind. So that was
Hello,
really, I love it when listeners. I want to take a moment to share with you something that I've added to my daily routine that is changing my life. It's about the size of a band-aid and it's called LifeWave. If you struggle with stress, pain, or sleep, these might be something you want to try. LifeWave patches are non-medicated and made of organic materials. Therefore, no substances like chemicals or drugs enter the body. And using your own body heat and light, the patch reflects your own light back into your body and can improve skin appearance and confidence, enhance sports performance, improve mental clarity, help you to relax, improve your sleep, better manage stress, support a healthy cardiovascular system, and more. I'm personally using them right now to heal the varicose veins in my legs, which have gotten progressively worse in the last 10 years. You wear them for 12 hours on, 12 hours off. I put one on when I get up in the morning and then I take it off right before I go to bed. I highly recommend checking out the Eon and the X39 patch to begin with. The X39 patch is the world's first and only patented technology that uses a phototherapy system to improve strength and stamina without drugs or stimulants. The other thing I really appreciate about LifeWave is that they've made it very accessible. You can get started for as low as $100 a month and see the impact on your health. LifeWave has been around since 2004 and has over 200 patents as of March 2025. If you're curious about how this technology could help you, check out the link in my show notes or on my website and reach out with any questions. I have also officially started a team, so if you're interested in selling these patches as a part of my team, I'd love to connect with you about it. And then in the afternoon, we had Enmei as a speaker. And if you haven't met Enmei before, if you haven't listened to my podcast with her, she was the first person I had on my podcast. Uh, there are three reasons that came to mind yesterday that I wanted to share about why I bring Enmei back every year. So, one, she's highly effective at what she does. She's just damn good at what she does. Two, she can reach pretty much any human with how she communicates. She is one of the most open-minded, compassionate, and creative communicators I have ever met in my life. And this is key because every human has learned communication in a variety of ways, and we have to find ways to connect with people differently. And then three, her joy is contagious and it amplifies the learning. Joy is truly such a blessing, and it's highly impactful when we want to learn something new and different. And so the way that Enmei teaches and shares gets people's attention, holds it, and it sticks to their brains like super glue. It's literally what I wrote yesterday. And so those are really the three reasons why I keep continuing to bring Enmei back. She's a highly effective teacher, and it's really important to me that the people that I bring in to speak and whoever I expose these folks to, my audience to, I need my speakers to be able to speak to a variety of humans. And Kai, Crystal, and Enmei do just that. So Enmei talked to us about the difference between intuition and fear, which is usually a topic that she covers. And how do we know when we're making decisions from a place of love or our hearts versus our fear or instinct? She went around and gave each of us individual messages. Um, she told me that my audience is shifting, which I just want to share. That is really interesting to me, and I've been feeling that for a long time. And that it's time to package up what I do and take it on the road. And so I don't know what that looks like yet, but I can feel it, and have felt it shifting for a while. And so I'm just in this place and space of transition. So I'm curious to see how this unfolds over the next couple
Hi,
months.
this is Enmei. We had an amazing time at Unplug From Fear, the 3-day retreat by I Love It When. Mo will put on an incredible retreat every time. And one of the things that she is a big fan of and is insisting of is creating safe space. When we have a retreat that brings your heart to the floor, you want to know that you are supported, nourished, nurtured, rested, understood, heard, and appreciated for every moment that we share together. So this was an intimate gathering to unplug fear. And what I got to do to this retreat was speak about the source of that fear. Where does it come from? Is it from an old recipe from long, long ago? Is it from somebody well-meaning, somebody that you may call a relative or you love or is really very important in your life? And they meant well, but is that keeping you frozen? And then what happens is that fear becomes blown up, really huge in your life. Every cell in your body starts to fear. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I as good as the next person is? Is somebody going to judge me as a failure? Whatever that is, that fear is holding you hostage. So my work this time was to talk about the source of that fear, how we can let it be released for even just a little while, for a few hours, a few minutes, the 3 days, and give you a few tools to how you can release and unplug from that fear. This was enchanting. This was tremendous. This was supportive and kind. We could use a lot more kindness in our world and a lot more understanding and compassion of each other and with each other. And in a space like at Unplug, that's what Mo wants to make sure we do, is respectfully treat each other with that kind of compassion and to sit with this kind of fear and find solutions. Come join us next time. If you get to be a part of the Unplug From Fear retreat, sign up early. I'll be there.
At the end of the day, we went out to dinner at Terracotta Red, which is a local Asian fusion restaurant in downtown Everett, Washington. If you don't know it, go check it out. It is delicious. And we all agreed that the curry that Badra had gotten was the best damn curry ever. Oh my God, I could have taken a bath in it. It was delicious. And then we went home, and I know everybody pretty much crashed into bed immediately. I literally got home, took a shower, got into bed, crawled into bed at like 8:30, and I just stayed there until I fell asleep. Saturday morning, got up early to give myself time to meditate and feel settled and grounded for the day. And I ended up getting a text from Crystal Novak, who was our speaker for that morning, that she wasn't going to be able to join us. And this was totally out of left field. I know Crystal was so excited to be there. And so she was horribly sick, and I felt so bad. Uh, so I knew she was really bummed and wanted to be there, but this was also another opportunity for me to see how I responded and reacted in that moment. And I was very calm. I was just like, okay, no problem. I feel better, rest up. I texted Kai to let her know what was happening and that I had stuff for us to do that morning. And so we all got to the studio at about 9:30, and I decided that morning that I was going to do something that I had thought about having us do on Sunday, and that was a group meditation. And so just as I was about to get started, Kai actually ended up showing up. Now, Kai was coming, she lives down south of Tacoma, which is about a 2-hour drive up to Everett from where she lives. And so I did not expect her to show up that early. She told me when she arrived that she had told her guides that she needed them to pause time and get her here in a half an hour. And I don't know how, but it worked. So she was able to join us for most of the morning too, which was amazing. And so the activity that I wanted us to do is something that I've been doing when I do small group coaching. And that's when I usually have 3 to 4 participants. And what we do is we meditate together using a meditation on insight timer. And we ask for a message for one person in the group. And so in this instance, we all asked for messages for Amy. And then we do the meditation. It's about 15 minutes. And I tell people to write down anything they get. You might get, if you're not a meditator, this could be, it'll feel difficult or it might feel a little strange the first couple times, but the more you do it, the easier it gets because you realize, again, you're getting these messages all of the time. But as soon as the meditation starts, whatever you see, feel, taste, smell, hear, whatever, you write it down. You don't question it, you don't second guess it. You just ask. We go into the meditation with the intention of, please give us messages for Amy. And then we all take notes, and then we all went around and shared them afterwards. And this is one of my favorite things to do because one, a theme always appears. And so it becomes clear that one, we're all tapping into Amy's energy. And two, it gives a lot of validation for folks who maybe have not trusted their intuition before. Because you might realize, hey, I got the same message as so and so did. Wow, that can't be a coincidence. Like that's too bizarre. And so you start to recognize that the messages you're receiving are really real. And they all come through to us in our own way. And so I often give the example of I love to watch Harry Potter. And so I might watch that movie, more than a couple times a year. And so if I'm doing a meditation, it's not unusual for me to see Harry, Hermione, or some scene from one of those movies because my guides know that they can communicate with me through that language. It's familiar to me. In the past, I would have ignored that because I would have said to myself, oh, I just watched Harry Potter 2 weeks ago. That's why I'm seeing it. No, they're using those scenes, that imagery, to speak to me because they know I'll get it that way. So we shared all of our messages, and it was really, really cool just to hear what people had to say. And then it also primed us for what Kai was going to take us through that afternoon, what her exercises were going to be. And so the last thing I said to them about this meditation is what I would do in small group coaching is we get all these messages, and then usually in the messages, you have some action steps. And so then those action steps are your homework for the next 2 weeks before we have our next coaching session. And so because we had done this meditation for Amy, I told Amy, all right, here are your action steps. And I think we had identified like 1 or 2 things. And I said, now it's really, really important that you actually do these things. They might feel inconsequential, like they're not that important, but I actually treat these action steps like gold. And I've said before to my coaching clients, if I paid you $5,000 to do these action steps, would you do them? And people always say yes. Well, of course I would, Margaret. Okay, you need to treat these action steps like I'm going to pay you $5,000. Because as an example, one time one of my coaching clients, one of the messages we got for her was something about the scent of jasmine and lavender, I believe, and thistle, something like that. And so her action step was to go to a crystal shop or an oil, aromatherapy shop, get some lavender and jasmine. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit, and see what you feel led to do with it. We don't know if something's going to happen for you on the way to the crystal shop. Like maybe you're going to meet someone out while you're getting a coffee or something, or you're going to meet somebody at the crystal shop And that's why they said to you, that's why the message was, go get some of this oil. We don't know if this oil is going to help bring you relief physically. We don't know what is going to happen with this action step. All we know is that we receive this message and we have to do it. And what I find is that most of the time people discount these messages and think, well, that's just silly. I don't need jasmine and lavender. I'm not going to go, I don't need to go get it. Why am I going to spend, $10 on some oil? What if that action step is what would have taken you to the next breadcrumb for your business or for your life? What if you would have met your next romantic partner while on the way to the crystal shop? Like, you don't know why they're sending you there or what in the point is to do the action before you know the why, right? And so I spoke to them about this, and this is, I think, one of the most important things that I had to say, that some people needed to hear, is that we need to treat these action steps like gold. So when I get these messages now in meditation, I do them no matter what. I treat them as if I'm being coached by the universe. So if you've never done this before, I highly recommend it. You can feel free to reach out to me via email. I'll try to remember to put the link to the meditation that I do in this podcast episode show notes. But either way, you can always go to Insight Timer. It's free app, and you can just search Spirit Guide meditation, and you can find any Spirit Guide meditation and do it, or do it without a meditation that's guided. All right, after this, we had lunch with Kai. And next, I want to share with you another testimonial from one of the attendees whose name is Trish. Her energy was lovely, flowery. I want to, like, whenever I thought of Trish, I thought of the most beautiful, abundant, magical flowers. Like, I recently received a bouquet of the most beautiful flowers from Hawaii I have ever seen in my freaking life. I mean, it was from a realtor that I had met who lives in Hawaii, and she sent me these gorgeous flowers as a thank you, and they were tropical, huge flowers. And so Trisha's energy is just, it's loving, it's colorful, it's like magenta, and it's beautiful. And so I want to put her testimonial here and just have you hear a little bit about Trisha's experience.
So I want to start this video off by introducing myself. My name is Patricia, and I am a massage therapist, Reiki healer, intuitive, and I am so excited to share what I learned and what I'm continuing to learn with going to the retreat that Mo got all scheduled for us, and definitely unplugging from any fear that I didn't even realize that I had. So this year I chose to do this class because it's time to choose myself and let go of that feeling like I have to constantly be pleasing others and taking care of others, where I need to do self-love first so that I can continue to provide and offer gifts of love and affirmation to my family members, to my friends, and everybody. I am a talker, and oh my gosh, the first thing that I want to say that I took away from the class, it was probably one of the best things ever. Everybody there was so kind and respectful of each and everybody's personal journeys and where they were at. And also when the tears came up, there was no opinions or being judgmental. It was just a safe place to let everything go, let everything down, and just be who you are and be accepted and be loved, right? And so the second thing is, every single speaker that was there, amazing gifts that they gave us and tools to use in our daily lives, but also how when it was they were taking care of everybody, it was not grouped in, it was each individually. They were taking care of that person's needs that they needed at that time. And that to me was like, yes, because I love it when people could show genuine concern in caring without anything to be received other than that person feeling better. Also, Mo, she organized a wonderful retreat. Love it. We'll do it again very soon whenever she offers it. Also, another thing was, the last thing was, I went into a group with a bunch of women, and we were all strangers, different backgrounds, different careers, different lifestyles, different way of growing up. And when I left there, I can say that we're all soul sisters and we're all connected. And that to me is amazing. I have a sister all the way in Colorado, and I have sisters up north. You know, we're just all connected, and I truly felt that when I left. Um, I would take this class again. I would recommend it to anybody that is feeling like it's hard to stop people pleasing. It's hard to stop giving all of yourself to the point of you sacrificing yourself for others. It's time to really love yourself and do for you, because it's not selfish to care for yourself. It's important. Every single woman and man need to love themselves enough to do this for themselves. And thank you, Mo. And I rambled and I apologize, but I am super excited for the next retreat. And I can't wait to meet new ladies and to hang out with the speakers. And thank you.
All right. I hope you enjoyed Trisha's testimonial. It was really a joy to have her there. And Trish is a phenomenal Reiki healer as well. So if you're ever in the Federal Way area, Federal Way, Washington area, I recommend looking her up. Um, okay. In the afternoon on Saturday, Kai took us through 3 different exercises. And I love this. One of the things I love about Kai is that she's all about helping people learn how to do this work on their own. And I believe that any good coach, any good leader does not work with you forever. They help you get to the next point in your journey, but the goal is for you to be able to embody this work and do it yourself. And so Kai helped us connect with our ancestors to see if we had any ancestors that were stuck in the middle and needed to finish passing over. She led us through, basically, it felt like a meditation to do that. Excuse me. Then she had us look at past lives to see if we have any cords or attachments that were impacting us from previous lives and release them. And then the last thing we did is we went to look at the Akashic. Well, there goes my video. That always happens when I'm talking about energy. Then we went to look at the Akashic records to see if we had any files about anything in particular. Like for me, I looked around scarcity and money, any files that we need in the Akashic records to be burned, revised, or ones that can't be touched. And so Kai did each of these exercises with us and helped us to see if there was anything we were missing, or to confirm that, if we did have an ancestor that needed to pass over, that we did indeed help them pass over. And so when you're doing work like this, I know for me, it's really important for me to have someone like Kai or Crystal or Enmei with me. One, because I need the validation when I'm doing it for the first couple times to make sure that I'm doing it right, quote unquote, right. Because that's my logical brain who likes to butt in and question things. And then also, I want to make sure that I'm doing it safely, because energy is very real. And I know that, even if I can't see it like they can, I know that it's real. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that's safe for me and safe for people around me. So after these exercises, Kai did our individual healings, and I assisted by running energy with her and just helping and sharing wherever I could. And so this was a great example for me, and I'm going to share my experience. Is, for example, was we were working on someone, and it's great for me to do this with Kai and with Crystal because it helps me learn and to trust more of what I see. So as I was running energy on the person, I saw one of my guides, Toth, behind the person, and he was hammering on a box that they had like on the back of their neck. And so to me, again, remember, this is how my guides uh, try to get messages to me. And so I just said to Kai, okay, I see my guide Toph. He's hammering on a box on her back. And Kai was like, oh yeah, I see it. It looks like this to me. And so at one point, she literally felt an energy, an entity in someone's energy that didn't need to be there. And so it was great. It felt like we were in like a science class. She paused and she said, okay, if anybody wants to get up and feel this, come over here and just put your hand out over this area near this person's, aura here next to their left shoulder. And let me see if you can feel this entity. And so we all got up and crowded around and like felt to see if we could feel, it's basically a frequency change to see if you can feel that energy. And I could slightly feel it. It's very, my brain tries to butt in and get me to doubt things all the time, but I could feel a slight shift in the energy there. And so those are the kinds of things that she does that are such great experiences to have happen at a retreat. So when she was clearing my energy, she opened up all my chakras to ensure they were running smoothly because sometimes my chakras can kind of collapse and like gets really small. It's really strange. And she said again, it was more of an upgrade than a clearing. She did see a box, and I like the way she describes things. Like she said, she saw a box that I had been given when I was 10 years old. And the box was passed down from my ancestors. And in the box was how a girl should be, all the shoulds. A girl should be married. A girl should not own her own house. A girl should do this, be this, all the shoulds. And so Kai said, because she's also just really great about helping me learn how to do things on my own as well. And so she said I could do a meditation and I could give this box back to my ancestors to return to their timeline, or I could see if I could burn the box and thus like not have this carry on in my lineage. And so I felt led to ask if my grandmother, who I was named after Margaret, if she had a message for me to share through Kai. And so sometimes I feel led to ask that. Oftentimes I don't anymore because my grandmother gives me messages all the time. And so I don't, have to ask it. But sometimes when I feel led to, I do it because hearing it from someone else is just different than receiving it yourself. It can be very validating. And so my grandmother came through and said how proud she was of me. Like, look how far I've come and that I've done what nobody expected me to do. And she said, burn the fucking box. And so that totally made me start to tear up. And it was such validation. It was exactly what I needed to hear because I'm very, very happy with what I've done in my life. I'm extremely proud of myself for the business that I have, for the house that I've basically built, for the things that I've done in my life. And that doesn't mean that I don't have times when I question myself, that I don't have times when I doubt my path. And I recognize that a lot of the things that I've done are not what people expected me to do, which just, yeah, brings me back to a memory of, in high school, I don't know if all high schools do this, but my high school did, the most likely to do list or whatever, where in the yearbook they had different things like person most likely to have a successful business, person most likely to, marry and have kids right away. And I don't know how I got on this list, but it was like most likely to still, I don't know how it was phrased, but most likely to still live at home with her parents and bake cookies. I think that was mine. And I remember like not being offended when I read that because I love my parents and they're not just my parents, they're some of my best friends. And I really truly mean that. And I really believed that at the age of like 13. And so it's been a long time since, I can say that I didn't care what people thought about that. But you can see how what I've done is so completely different. Like, yes, I did live with my parents off and on until I bought a house. And I bought a house when I was 34 years old. That was my first duplex. Yeah, maybe even like 32. But I've done, I have not had kids. I've never been married. I did not expect myself to start a business or to be as independent as I have been. But I always knew that I had this part in me that was fierce, I would say, and really fiercely wanting to be seen more. And so allowing myself to do that more and more, and I can even feel it right now in my heart. Allowing myself to be seen more and more in that way has always been incredibly important to me. And so this message from my grandmother was such validation, and I was super, yeah, super happy and just relieved to hear it. So by the time we looked up and Kai was done with our individual healings, it was 6:40 p.m. and I was wiped. So I said to everyone, how's everybody feeling right now? And Paula looked up and she's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to bow out of dinner and just go home. And so I said, you know what? I think we all should do this because I don't think there's a way I'm making it out to dinner tonight either. So we all ended up just going home Saturday night and yeah, I went straight to bed basically, which often happens at these retreats because it's one thing to talk through about what happened, but when you go through these things, especially those energetic experiences, it takes a lot of energy especially when you're doing new things. And so we had done a lot of energetic work that day with Kai. So on Sunday we came back and I felt led to have us do another group meditation to practice again because the practice is really key here. So this time we did it to get messages for Chan, another attendee. And it was fabulous. It gave everybody the opportunity to play again and to see what images or messages they received. And then I took everyone through the emotion code process. I gave them all pendulums so they could practice with one another. Then we had a lunch break. And then that afternoon, I knew, okay, we're not going to go for as full of a day as we did yesterday. But I wanted to take everybody through the Fierce Conversations model. This book, Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott, and the conversation model are so fantastic when you have to have hard conversations, either at work or in your personal life. And this is really key to me because it's one thing to talk about energy. And for instance, we talked quite a bit about shielding. So when you leave the house, putting a shield up, an energetic shield, so that things, like your energy stays with you and thing like you don't go home with somebody else's energy attached to you. Your energetic shield also has to be matched up with your words and your actions to set that boundary as well. And so when you have an energetic shield up, but you don't know how to set physical boundaries or verbal boundaries, then your shield is a bit weak, right? It's a combination of that's where embodying this work, actually doing the thing matters. And so I really want to make sure that whenever I do retreats and when any of my workshops and things like that, I always like to talk about embodiment because it's one thing to talk about the energy and to have techniques and rituals and things you can do. But when it comes down to it and you're sitting across from a person who maybe has mistreated you, whether it be in your personal life or at work, you have to find a way to speak back to them. You have to find a way to speak up, speak your truth, share your piece, and set a boundary. And so I like to give people tools for these things because it's oftentimes I found something that people have a really hard time doing. And that was me as well. Still is me at times. It's very hard to do. The next thing I had us do was I had brought two oracle decks with me, my Isis oracle deck, one of my favorite decks, and then my energy oracle deck. I spread the cards out on the floor and I had everybody go around, get up, pick up a card, and give it to someone. So that essentially you got a card picked for you from someone in the group. This is a really fun thing to do. And so we all went around and shared our cards, and they were all very much on point for what each of us individually needed to hear, which was really cool. And then I had us pause and share an action step that we were going to take after the retreat, which again is very key for me because sometimes leaving a retreat like this, where you have gotten close and vulnerable in such a short amount of time, to leave and go back to your own home life and begin to integrate what you've learned with people who weren't there for the experience can be really difficult. And so to make sure that this sticks and that you really start to see some change, I like to check in with the group about 2 weeks after the retreat, but make sure that they have some sort of an action step to continue to keep this energy going. And then lastly, I felt led to have us do a short meditation where I asked the angels to come in and give everyone a blessing and then give us the energy that we need to help integrate this at home. And then we cleaned up and we went out to this place called Tacos and Beer for our last dinner together, which was really fun. So the things that stuck out to me about this retreat were one, I'm supposed to speak more, as I mentioned. Two, I don't need to know how it's going to work out. I need to keep relaxing into trusting and surrendering consistently and constantly. It always works out the way that it's supposed to, whether it be with these attendees, with the retreat, with my work life, whatever else. And then we have to back up our energetic boundaries with words and action. And this is what the universe will respond to. It's only a boundary if it can withstand pressure. That part is a quote from Kai, who followed up because I'd asked her about this after the retreat. It's only a boundary if it can withstand pressure. All right. So that is my recap from this second retreat. It was phenomenal. I'm so grateful to Enmei and Crystal and Kai for their contribution, for their energy, for being there. I'm grateful to each of the attendees. I know there's going to be another Unplug from Fear. I don't know when it is yet. I've decided to pause and wait for a moment before I announce the next one. Right now on the calendar, I do have a men's retreat, the Access Granted Men's Retreat, May 29th through the 31st. And so I'm working right now with my partner, Tom, to market that and get it out there because this is a different audience. I've had a couple of men at my retreats over the years. They've always been open to men, but I've not ever had a retreat that is just for men. So if you're listening to this and you know someone who you think would benefit from this and would be open to it, please pass the word along. It's hard because, well, at least this is my perspective, I don't think men are really encouraged to attend retreats, and they may not be familiar with it. It's very similar to a class or a workshop. And some people call my retreats just that, a class or a workshop. So I did an info session with Tom. You can go to my YouTube channel and find the info session and share that with whoever you think might be interested. But I could really use your help in spreading the word and encouraging them to sign up, because taking 3 days for yourself, I know it's always a hard thing to prioritize. And a lot of times women also, same issue, like the idea of spending 3 days on yourself and money on yourself like this can be a leap for some people. And it can also be the thing that shifts everything for you. So if you can think of anybody who would benefit from that retreat, please pass the word along. And then get on my newsletter list to hear about the next Unplug from Fear retreat. It's also been put out there that some folks, including myself, would love to have a retreat in Hawaii. So that's definitely on my mind. So stay on my newsletter list to make sure that you stay current with what all the happenings. And let me know, again, leave a comment if you have any other questions about this retreat or if you want to know more. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. All right, see you soon.